Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove and 30 Days of Goddess with our May practice update video. And before we get started with the things I'd like to say and share this month, I like to invite you to take a nice deep breath and center yourself in this time, in this place where you are right now. You may wish to touch your forehead, heart, belly, or hold your hands up in prayer pose by your lips, maybe even offering yourself a little kiss and a welcome. And I have a brief little prayer to share. I drew this card from the prayer deck I'm working on as an addition for June's practice. So these aren't available yet, but I picked one to read to you today anyway. May I offer myself up to the present moment, whole and holy. May I step fully into reality, sit with mystery, and walk with the questions as they unfold. May I be wholehearted and here, enchanted by the ordinary miracle of being alive. So welcome to May, and this is really what I want to encourage for you in this new month of 30 Days of Goddess, which is to help you be enchanted by the ordinary miracle of being alive. So, whether you have been participating in 30 Days of Goddess since the beginning, which was in January of 2021, or whether you are new this month, welcome. There is a place for you. And in the place where you are watching this video, or at least linked below the video, you should have access to everything you need to get started from this moment, right here, right now. It's important to me that this practice remain accessible to people. And I have a tendency to create a lot and to offer a lot. And so I try every month to make sure that you still have what you need in one place without feeling like you're behind or that you need to go backwards, while at the same time creating new resources for the people who have been involved for the last year and a half to have new things to inspire and encourage their practice. So the heart of 30 Days of Goddess is about creating simple daily practices to nourish and sustain you on a goddess-centered path. That's really what it's about. To that end, I have created a series of resources, and I make new resources every month to add to it. And again, you can start right here, right now, or you can have all those other resources that you kind of layer on top of each other. The practice homepage, which is linked below the video, or it's bit.ly/30 Days of Goddess. There you can scroll down and find access to past videos, past links, etc. So if you want additional resources, additional materials, you can always go back and get them as you need them. But I suggest that you start from this moment. So, 30 Days of Goddess was created out of this desire to share simple devotional practices. I have been working in goddess art and on a goddess-centered path and in priestessing for a number of years, and I realized that one of the number one questions that people ask me, or the things that I find that people encounter, is kind of, I feel this call, I feel this inspiration, I feel this connection, but what do I do with it? So 30 Days of Goddess was created in response to that question of what do I do? And it has grown over time so that I have a series of things that I offer. And but the core is simple devotional practices that fit your life. And then you can use stuff that I make to support that purpose if you want, as many or as few as you wish. So we have a companion devotional deck that is, the theory is kind of that it's done for you, mini rituals. So you pick 3 to 4 cards from the deck and then do what they say or read them aloud, etc. So they have kind of a little ready-made mini ritual there for you. So there's the deck. There's printed spiral-bound prayer books. I also, every month, I provide printable versions of cards, prayer cards, and I provide a printable version of the prayer book so that you, if you don't want to buy something, you don't ever have to buy anything. You can always participate regardless of whether you've ordered anything or not. So I do have the spiral bound prayer books, which I really like. They have space to write every day, as well as materials to cut out in the back to put into your prayer book. Little prayer cards too. So they're ready. I also offer the option of a coloring book version, which has 30 prayers and then 30 things to color. So if you don't feel like doing the art in a new book, you can use the coloring book. And I offer a log book version as well that I don't have handy with me to show you, but it's linked below. And the log book is just a very small, there's 3 entries per page, and you have a very small entry instead of creating a bunch every day. And then I also always offer a new set of printables. And my Goddess Magic community on Patreon, that's patreon.com/bridgesgrove, gets access to a whole buffet of printables. And then the public access post on Patreon, you get a sampler pack of printables. So you get a selection from what I've created for the Patreon community every month, and you can print those out. I like to print them out on this faux kind of watercolor paper so they have some color, and that's something that I enjoy doing. This month, I am offering a edition, so to speak, called Earthprayer. So the theme, and that's what I wanted to talk about to you today, is this theme of Earthprayer for this month's May theme, which to me is bringing us back to connecting to where the magic of place, the place in which we find ourselves right now. Where are we living our lives? What is unfolding around us? Being present in and on and with our own landscape, whatever that is like. And then the magic in that, where we are in that landscape, rather than, dreaming of far off lands, but what's in your own backyard, what's in your own front yard, what's outside your balcony, what's outside your window, and tending to that space as sacred, as your earth prayer, as what you're offering. So to that end, I have an earth prayer themed class. Members of the Goddess Magic and Up level of the Patreon community have access to that class for free. And if you are not a member of the community, then the class is available to you for $45, or I have a discount available with the code MAYMAGIC on that class. So that class will take you through 31 days of Earth Prayer themed quotes and questions, in addition to the 30 days of Goddess prompt words and practices. So you are welcome to participate. I also have a supplemental pack in the Etsy shop, which is etsy.com/bridgesgrove. So if you want to print new stuff out, and it's only $5. So if you want to print some new materials out for yourself, you don't want to join the Patreon, you don't want to take a class, you can do the Etsy shop and you can get a little set of booster materials for yourself for that, for just a little bit of money for that. And so one of the things I wanted to revisit this month, in addition, so I have 2 things I want to revisit. The idea of tending to the same sacred space as this core practice, this core earth prayer, and the idea of using other elements to pull in to that are not necessarily about making a book and working on a book page. So I find that the prayer books are a really powerful way. So this is my patron day. I find they're a really powerful way to synthesize all your experiences together and form this kind of physical, tangible holding space for what you're learning, studying, connecting with, creating, and it creates it all in this one spot. So my books get very fat. They start out like this, and this is April. They get like this. I find that super happy. It brings me a lot of joy. I love having the connection, etc. I feel like sometimes people start to feel pressured by the book And like, that's the only way that they can participate. And in a past video for last May, I included some other ideas of things that you can do, and I'll link to that video as well so that you can go back and watch it. But I wanted to encourage us to come back to the other possibilities of things to do other than feel like we have to make a book. So I'm going to keep making my book because I love it, but you can still be participating. The idea is this commitment to a simple practice. So if you would like to commit to lighting a candle and reading a prayer every day, that is a perfectly wonderful practice, and you're still participating in 30 Days of Goddess. You never have to write a single word, and you never have to glue down a single image to still be participating in 30 Days of Goddess. And so I wanted to revisit that idea of the cards that I create. You know, I've got this Earthprayer, this additional Earthprayer themed set. You can print those out, you can choose one, and you can read it out loud, and that can be your practice. It can be that simple and that nourishing. And I have a goddess devotional book called Whole and Holy, and I meant to have a copy of that to show, but you've probably seen it before already. And so another simple practice is to open that book at random and read the prayer that's in there, or to choose the prayer from the companion devotional deck. I have a booster pack of materials, or booster pack created for that deck as well. And you can read one of those prayers out loud. I do have, I'll talk about that in a minute. I don't want to get away from myself. I find that when I hit May, I feel really inspired and enthused with new possibilities, and stuff's kind of coming to me almost faster than I can keep up with. And I think that that can become kind of overwhelming for people. So I'm trying to sort of temper a little bit of that exuberance so as not to overwhelm you with too many options. So going back to this idea is that so the core, and that's what I would like to encourage for you for May, is to commit to a sacred space. And that can be a bench in your front yard. That can be a chair on your back porch. That can be stepping out onto your balcony. That can be a park down the street that you would like to walk to. It can be a neighborhood in which you walk your dog. It can be a state park where you hike. It can be a stretch of road where you go for a walk. It can be a field, across the street. It can be a rock in the woods. It can be a tree in your yard. It can be something you can see in the distance, like a mountain or a body of water or a tree or something, something you can see. Or it can be an altar space inside your house, ideally next to a window. I really, with the Earthprayer theme, really find it important to be able to see the natural world and what's unfolding outside around you. But if your bed is your sacred space and you have an altar on your bedside table, that can also be perfectly fine. So don't feel, an obligation or should from me just because I like to be outside. I know people are different. And so the core is to find this sacred space, commit to the sacred space, and tend to it each day for 30 days. Observing, learning, listening, feeling, being there in your space and in the magic that unfolds. And what you will discover is that there's something new every day. Like, I really do promise this. I have few promises that I'm willing to make to anybody about spirituality or spiritual practice, because the world's a big place and people are different and things are different and lives are different. And I don't really dabble in absolutes or absolutism. But if there's one thing I will promise, which is that if you show up somewhere every day, something will happen. Something will happen, and you will learn something, you will see something, you will witness something, you will grow in some way. And so that's what I will promise. And the other thing I wanted to remind people for the Earthprayer theme is that taking a picture in response to the prompt word can be a really powerful devotional practice, especially being alert for the picture in the day. So let's say your prompt word is green. That's the first word for May. And so you do take a walk, or you do look out your window, or you do sit outside. And looking for the picture that embodies that word can be a really powerful practice in and of itself. So if you have been keeping a prayer book, or you've been reading prayers and lighting candles and dedicated to a specific goddess, perhaps this month you want to commit to that earth prayer concept in the prompt and seeing the word alive in the world around you. So instead of writing something about the word or choosing images that go with the word, seeing the word itself come alive in the world where you are. And then you can take a picture of that or not if you don't want to take a picture. And you can just see it. And then you can share that picture if you want to. One of the other things I would like to really emphasize is to ideally, this would be before you take the picture, leave the phone alone until your daily practice is finished. Then you can carry it with you and find the picture. But if you have this commitment to daily practice and tending to your sacred space, I find that when we get our phones, we invite distraction and we invite the company of other minds into our space. Those can be good things, but they can also be very damaging things. And so I would encourage you to leave the phone alone until your daily practice is finished or feels whole and solid. Then get your phone if you want to. I was going to mention this at the end, but I personally am taking May as my birthday month, and I'm going to take another social media break in May. So I've made some advanced affirmation card graphics like I like to post on social media. I'm going to schedule those to post in advance so that I still have a presence and sharing things with you. I will continue my personal prayer book practice and my personal practices at home on my own, but I am coming to see, like how very fragmenting social media is for the way my brain works. And I have multiple book projects that I want to work on, things that I've been writing and thinking about. And I've come to see, like, if I'm really going to devote the kind of time that these book projects need this year, then I'm going to have to shut off my Instagram and my Facebook again in order to be able to focus on those things. And so I won't be around necessarily that much on social media, but I'll still be here energetically with my little cards and the fact that you can trust that I'm home working on my little page and writing new prayers and creating new things to share with the Goddess Magic community where I am and engaging in the magical place. So anyway, I did want to mention that. And the other thing I want to mention is that you do not have to print or use everything that I create. Like, I think that seems obvious, but sometimes, people will act like, oh, I can't, that's too many documents. It's too many things to keep up with. I can't keep up. Well, don't print everything. Print out what you like and maybe print out something different this month than you printed out the month before. Like, mix it up a little bit. You don't have to that fear of missing out, it'll be there later. If you want to go back and get it something that you don't need to worry about missing out on something. So you may wish to print the materials into a card deck and then draw from it every day, or glue the card that you drew down into your journal. So that's where I've been working on these new colorful cards. So these are not professionally printed. These are copy store printed, and I'm creating those to share with the community and in the Etsy shop for June, so that they look really nice, but you can still glue them down and they're kind of a consumable item that still gives you like a fresh perspective. So you might wish to make a card deck. You might want to have just an ongoing notebook or journal instead of the prayer book. You might wish to combine the questions. So the Earth Prayer editions are quotes and questions. You might want to combine those questions with tarot card or oracle card draws. You might use the card to answer the question. So if you pick a quote or a question, you might then respond to it via oracle card draw. You might want to read one of the prayer cards aloud to yourself in the morning or in the evening, or both. You might wish to carry one of them with you and prop it up by your computer or put in your pocket or something like that. And there's a lot of possibilities and things that you can do. So the Earth Prayer class is where the additional quotes, questions, prompts, and photo prompts, they're located in that Earth Prayer class. And you can participate in that or not. It's up to you. If you want to just keep going with the standard materials for 30 Days of Goddess, then you'll find them linked to in the post below the video, and you'll find what you need there to get going with a fresh start. And then as I mentioned, in June, I'm working on a whole bunch of other stuff to share with everybody for June, but I decided to hold that back a little bit since we have the Earth Prayer emphasis for May. So I do have lots of good stuff coming up for you in the future. But I wanted to kind of, bring you back to that non-writing based practices in case you've started to feel like this is a writing practice. And for me, writing is important. It's an important part of my practice. But for you, you don't have to write at all. And so I wanted to make sure to emphasize those other ways to participate that don't involve necessarily writing. And and to that end, I also have offered a home ritual printable that you will find a video and some downloads for this home ritual, which is kind of a basic, simple ritual for every day. And I also have some thoughts on the power of repetition in ritual that I'm going to share in a separate post so that we don't get this video doesn't become too long and overwhelming. But that's one of the things I wanted to, kind of leave you with is to commit to the ideas that resonate and let the others go with love. It's okay. You're still welcome. And so I also wanted to run briefly through what I consider to be kind of a simple, passable daily devotional outline. This is just, one possibility of many, and you can pick and choose elements of it that work for you. But I wanted to go ahead and go over it with just some spontaneous kind of ideas so that you can know what I'm picturing or envisioning when I say creating a daily devotional practice. So, for example, this is a possibility. You get up in the morning, and I often offer a prayer in the morning before I've even brushed my teeth, before I've even gotten up. I offer a prayer in the morning. Then you go to your spot, either outside, look out your window, or sit at your altar. Take a few deep breaths and lay a hand on your heart. If you work with a specific goddess, say her name out loud, or just say goddess, or speak another word that works for you. Or you can also just pause and let the silence speak to you. And then sitting there in your sacred spot, let your gaze wander around to what you can see, hear, feel, smell, taste, and touch. Allowing yourself this moment to look, listen, and feel. Like, what is here right now? How do I feel right now? Then write an affirmation, or choose one of the cards, or listen to the little video one that I post for every day. Let that kind of soak into you. Or choose from one of the printables. Wherever you get it, let it soak into you. If your hand's not still in your heart, put it back there. Breathe and look out in the world at the world in gratitude. This can take 5 minutes or this can take 35 minutes. Let any additional words or blessings or affirmations or prayers or insights emerge spontaneously, and write them down if you want to. Don't write them down if you don't want to. Choose an oracle card, or choose one of the printables, or one of the cards from the deck. Oops. Choose a prayer card, read it aloud, or if you have a book, read that aloud. Place a hand on your forehead, heart, and belly. And then carry the word or the prayer or the affirmation or the feeling with you through the day, whether metaphorically or mentally, or actually physically, like the actual prayer. And then be alert for connections and how the threads of magic wind their way through your day. The birds you see, the flowers you see, the way the wind is blowing, what the sun is doing, what the clouds are doing. Be alert for those things, not just in the solitary moments of intentional devotional practice, but threaded throughout your world. And then if you have time, you may wish to meditate, you may wish to write more in your prayer book, you may wish to draw more cards, you may wish to create collage or art, etc. Or maybe you need to step right into the rhythm of the day and you want to revisit the prayer book in the afternoon or carry it with you in your everyday tasks. You might want to come back to it in the night. And as I noted, some people might start to feel like this practice is all about the filling out the book, but the practice is about bearing witness and returning to center. about stepping into the sacred in your everyday, about practicing the presence of the goddess in the world where you are right now. It's about being nurtured and replenished. It's about reaching out in connection. It's about feeling held in sacredness. And the book, if you then choose to make one, is a container that helps you hold, contextualize, nourish, and steep those experiences all in one place. And so I'd like to end today with a poem. This is a poem I believe that is in my book, Walking with Persephone. But at some point, I guess I'd printed it out and I found it on the floor the other day with some stuff that my kids were doing. And I found my poem sitting on the floor and I was like, there's that poem. And it's one that I like. It's not necessarily as cheerful as some of my other ones or as perhaps, I don't know. It's called There's Nothing Tidy Here. And I thought, I found it on the floor, ironically, how ironic, or how perfect, because it's not tidy. It's just laying there on the floor. But I felt like maybe this is the poem to end our May practice video with. So there is nothing tidy here. Life is too broad and billowing to be contained, restrained, confined, constrained by lists and wishes and well-laid plans, or even by thin and bloodless prayers. There is nothing tidy here. Expect wild winds and sharp teeth amid the violets and sunrises. There is nothing tidy here. The world a great jumble of twining grapevines, sprawling brambles, winding roots, and beating hearts. There is nothing to do with such an untidy world, but whirl with the wonder of it all, keeping your hands outstretched to touch everything, even if your feet bleed and your skin is streaked with sorrow and joy. Thank you so much for being here, and may 30 Days of Goddess enrich your life in myriad powerful ways.